You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Guess what? We found Alex. He's back. He's here. We found him. Anyway, we're ready to rock and roll. I'm Derek, joined as always by your co-hosts Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Getting ready for the Thanksgiving, right? And all the things that go along with it. A little bit of family, a little bit of food, a whole lot of football. Maybe a cerveza or two, if you will, an adult pop, if you will. But no, I'm looking forward to it, man. I like Thanksgiving, being able to hang out. I like the food, obviously, but doing something a little bit different this year, going away from the traditional Thanksgiving. I'm doing fajitas because I don't feel like turkey this year. So I'm going to cook up some outside skirt and eat some steak instead.
I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people are doing a non-traditional, if you will, Thanksgiving this year. I don't think that I will be one of them. I will be down with the in-laws on the coast. We'll see how that goes. Appreciate you guys working with me the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you can tell, I'm in a different place. We moved, so it's been kind of hectic in my world over the last couple of weeks. That and the job got in the way on a Tuesday. There's an election, and I had to work.
Got a wardrobe upgrade too, man. Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, so I haven't changed from work because I've been going nonstop since 7 a.m. this morning. So it's been a day. It's actually been a month. But appreciate you guys working with me the last 2 weeks, allowing me to skip so that I could get my own life in order. I have officially joined the homeowner club, and there's a lot of crap that comes with being a homeowner, such as I just put together a lawnmower that I'm going to have to use. So that's fun. Haven't put together the weed eater yet or the blower, but my wife wants me to mow the lawn before we take off for a couple days. The problem is we're leaving at like 8 a.m, and I fired that bad boy up, that lawnmower, and it's loud. And she's going to have to go out and talk to the neighbors because
it's 8 a.m. You're fine.
That's funny.
But yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys allowing me to skip. I'm back this week. Hopefully no more disruptions for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, let's get it. So it should be a good time here. So I'm also one that I'm not doing the traditional turkey. I'm going prime rib on that one. So should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of goodies.
That does sound good.
Yes, it does.
Before we go any further, obviously we haven't. You guys are not doing the traditional Thanksgiving prime rib fajitas. I believe we're doing turkey. But like, even if you're doing prime rib or fajitas, is there a side that you have to have?
Not with fajitas.
Right.
Good flour tortillas. Yeah, good flour tortillas. Maybe some queso.
Right. All the sides are like mixed into the dish type of thing. So
right.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, you're not doing the bell peppers or the onions or any of that kind of stuff by themselves.
Yeah, no, you're not. I'm a big fan. My wife makes it. Her dad is the one that makes it as well. But they make this green beans with bacon and onions in it, and it's peppery, and I'm looking forward to that.
Right on.
I'm looking forward to the main dish. Everything.
How long are you smoking it for?
It'll probably be on the smoker probably 4 or 5 hours.
Nice.
So it'll be good. Can't wait. So that'll be good times. Alex, although while we held down the fort while you were out, Kevin and I took a vote, and it has been decided that you're no longer allowed to miss any of these things because of the pine and shine that it's come along. So
do I do super good when I'm not here?
Apparently you've been on a heater the last like 3 weeks. So it has been decided that no mas. No more time off for you. So anyway.
That's very fair. But we're back in the game. I'm trying to see the overall here. Oh, we're real back in the game. Let's go.
Right. So Alex has put some moves on here, and for a guy that was belly aching, for lack of a better term, here at the beginning of the season, all of a sudden he's in it to win it. So should be good. We'll get into that one here in a little bit, and everybody out there watching in the YouTube lands or the Twitter lands or the Twitch lands or the Facebooks. I think that's everywhere we're live right now. And for everybody listening on the through the audio portion of this, we will get into the Pines and Shines here recap here very, very shortly. But should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of good here. Any question or any news, notes, anything like that we want to hit up here before we start kind of getting into this rocking and rolling?
I think there's a couple things that are going to have a major impact. And yes, they happened, on Sunday, but certainly sent people scrambling on Tuesday, once waivers opened up after Monday night. But while he hasn't been good and it's been an up and down season, the news that Deshaun Watson is done for the year. I know, Derek, you probably weren't all that thrilled about it because you were trying to move off of him in the home league. And
at least I had Kyler back by that point.
You did have Kyler back, which is very, very beneficial for you. I don't think a lot of people were in that same boat. But I imagine having, the missing of the few weeks before, that probably made some fantasy owners take notice and come up with a backup plan. The Burrow news is really tough, right? Like the Burrow news is really, really tough. He out for the season with a wrist injury. And that, I think, is going to catch some people out here, especially because we're coming down to, the end of the regular season for fantasy leagues.
Yeah, I think the big news for me is Matt Canada got relieved, right? So Steelers fans across the nation are rejoicing, right? They wanted Matt Canada gone after week 2 or 3, and Tomlin was trying to be good, trying to be faithful, but he's gone. I think you see the Steelers have a little bit more energy about them offensively. Kind of see how things shake out when we do the Friday night bet set snap and go through that and what we feel about the game lines. But I do feel like the Steelers in general will have a little bit more oomph about them, a little bit more energy in what's going to be going on, because typically that's what happens after you fire a coordinator, right? The guys who liked him say, hey, let's go out and win one for the Gipper. The guys who don't play extremely hard and say, look, it was this jabroni the whole time why we weren't successful. So I do think the Steelers are going to have a little bit of life to them here in week 12.
Yeah, I would agree with that one there as well, right? This is 3 weeks in a row. I believe we're 3 weeks in a row that we've seen a coach in some capacity be let go of, right? 3 weeks ago, we had McDaniels let go of. Last week, it was the Ken Dorsey. And then this week, we've got Matt Canada there going. So it'll be very interesting to see how that one, kind of plays out there and all of that. And honestly, at this point, I think the Jets also had some of that kind of internal strife going on there. And had it not been for a guy that they think is going to be back and playing for them potentially either later this season and next year, I think they would probably have moved on from that coordinator there as well. But a little tough to move on when the QB that's his guy kind of thing. So instead
the franchise said, hold on.
Yeah. Instead they fired the that's not the right terminology, but they third string the starting quarterback at that point. So didn't even go to backup. Just nope. Third string for you. Goodbye.
Moves got to be made, right? Offense was getting frustrated. I know Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook had both made no bones about it. Garrett Wilson has been surprisingly quiet. Like, I think he was trying not to get involved, which to an extent I appreciate, right? That he didn't bring it to the media that any frustrations he may or may not have, he kept it in-house relatively, right? But clearly the Jets know that defense is legit, right? And even just with an average offense, they're probably leading that division right now with the way that the Bills have been playing and the close losses that they've had, and some of the wins they've had have been very impressive as well, right? So the Jets got to feel like this is a season that is quickly getting away from them due to the talent they have on the defensive side of the ball. And now they're just looking for a spark. They're looking for a way to put up, 17 to 20 points a game, right? Just how do we manufacture 3 to 4 scoring drives and being able to do that instead of just, going out and getting 6 yards on a drive and then punting the ball away, right? Maybe one drive you get a first down and punt away. It's like, honestly, it's like watching the Broncos offense a couple seasons ago. Like, it's just the defense is really good and they're keeping them in the game, but the offense is costing them games left and right.
Yeah. So here's what we're starting to learn. Much like we're finding out that Bill Belichick is maybe not the same head coach without Tom Brady. For sure, Josh Daniels is not the same coach without Tom Brady. Nathaniel Hackett may not be the same coach without Aaron Rodgers. And like, the Broncos
like
coordinator,
Adam
right?
Gase.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right? Peyton Manning made him look out of this world good. He went down to Miami and completely crapped all over himself. The only difference is Manning never went down to Miami to follow Gase and help resurrect his career.
Right. And so I'm curious. Look, you can only be as good as the people you surround yourself with, right? But are you actually that good? It didn't work in Denver with Nathaniel Hackett, right? Like, clearly it's not really working in New York without Aaron Rodgers for Nathaniel Hackett. So, how long can you keep the smoke and mirrors up before, what you see is what you get?
Well, and it's tough to say
as long
even
as
then
you got
because,
to, right?
Because for the most part, right, when Hackett and Rodgers were both in Green Bay, it was Matt LaFleur who was doing the play calling.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, there's a whole lot of things to unravel there that I think we'll find out the truth sooner than later. At least hopefully. So
yeah.
But yeah, very interesting to see that one. And speaking of coaches on the hot seats, Staley's that seat's got to be awfully warm, I would imagine.
Man, what is going on with the Chargers? They deserve, well, first off, they're in the AFC West, so they deserve nothing. As a Denver Broncos fan, they deserve everything bad that happens to them. But man, Justin Herbert, like, you have a really, really talented quarterback. You have really, really talented wide receivers. You have a touchdown hawk of a running back. And somehow that does not translate to wins. Like, the point is to score more than the other team. I get that. And with all of that you have on offense, you still can't figure out how to score more than the other team. Like, it just blows my mind. Every day or every week that I see that the Chargers have lost, I'm like, how did they manage to do that? It's a question every time.
Well, they have a very talented defense as well. Like, there is star power all up and down that roster, and just can't seem to bring it together.
It just blows my mind.
Absolutely.
It's almost as mind-boggling as this 4-game win streak that the Denver Broncos have found themselves on all of a sudden. That is, I mean, yes, they were gifted by the 12th man there in Buffalo. Like, that was a gift of all gifts. And then they were gifted by Cortland Sutton and his crazy ability to keep both feet in while he makes an unbelievable grab.
That was a man catch. That was a man catch, dude.
Both of those catches.
Yeah,
the one against Minnesota. The one 2 weeks ago. Yes.
The one 2 weeks ago was phenomenal against Buffalo. The one against Minnesota was just, I'm going to be a bigger, better man than you. Like, be fully extended, exposing the rib cage, not caring about it, and coming down with that ball. Like, you know he wants to look over at Jerry Jeudy and say that's how you catch a touchdown, right? Because Jeudy had that slant that, he let the guy hit his arm and he kind of dropped it earlier in the game. But the Broncos defensive turnaround over the last 4 games is extremely incredible, right? And because I was weary of Vance Joseph. I said it here on our show. I've said it to coworkers as we were talking about it. They just weren't getting it. Something has clicked, right? Something has clicked defensively, and they are doing more than their fair share. My biggest concern with this team now is they have to find ways to get 6s instead of 3s, right? Too many field goals. It's not sustainable for the defense to force 2 or 3 turnovers a game, right? It's unpredictable. Yes, they come in bunches, but during this little run, they are plus 12 in the turnover margin. Like, absolutely insane. So they have to find ways to really capitalize because their luck is going to run out eventually. And yes, they themselves are doing a good job not turning the ball over on offense. Kicking field goals all game long is a recipe for losing. And this is why they're not a playoff caliber team yet. They're getting better. They're showing the growth that as a Broncos fan we wanted to see at the beginning of the season, but they're not there yet. But I fully expect them to be a thorn in everyone's side the rest of the way, right? We are a long ways away from that Miami game. And this is kind of, it's somewhere in between, right? Like, I don't expect 3 turnovers a game from the defense, but their schedule is also favorable. Like this weekend against Cleveland, I'm not worried about any passing attack from Cleveland, right? It's Can you stick 8, 9 guys in the box and tell Cleveland you're not going to run on us? We will stick Sutton on Amari Cooper and good luck everywhere else. And see what that looks like, because that's DTR is going to be scrambling a lot. And as long as the Broncos can remain disciplined and not give it up big on the ground, I think they're going to have some success here against Cleveland coming up on Sunday.
To add to that, this game has the underwritten all over it, right? A Broncos team that does not want to score touchdowns, a Cleveland defense that is really stinking good, a Cleveland offense that who knows what you're going to get out of the quarterback position, and a Broncos defense that, even missing Kareem Jackson, is much improved and a real problem for opposing offenses. So, yeah, this game has the underwritten all over it.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. A couple of questions coming in here. Ajiji saying, no, what's up, Ajiji? Welcome back in. What's up, fellas? I'm looking for a defense for playoffs. Best options are Ravens, Jets, Saints, Rams, or Atlanta. Do any of them stand out?
Ravens, hands down.
Yeah, they've got a tough playoff schedule, but
my worry about the Jets is eventually they're going to wear down. They don't have enough offensive output to keep that defense energized. And some of these wins have done it, but I do think the Jets are going to fade down the stretch defensively. Like they will pack it in to an extent. I don't think they're going to roll over, but I do think they're going to pack it in. As were the Ravens, they're fighting for that 1 seed now, right? They own the number 1 seed. That team is going to be on a mission to try and keep that and play in their stadium through the playoffs and make Kansas City come to them. They were handed a gift Monday night, and I think they're going to try and do everything they can to keep it.
Right.
I am just looking at kind of rest of schedule here.
I mean, the Jets, from a fantasy perspective, probably have the best schedule weeks 14 or 15, 16, 17. But I'm right there with you, Kevin. Like if the Jets are out of it going into week 14, 15, 16, they're eliminated, right? Like it starts becoming we're here, we're doing that, but we're not going to really go out there and dominate like that, right? Like there's a lot less to play for at that point.
So here, first off, I agree with Kevin. The Ravens defense is the best option here. However, I don't hate. So he just threw Houston out there as well. I think of those options, I think I would rather take Houston. Atlanta's remaining schedule isn't half bad either. Saints twice, Bears, Colts, Panthers, Bucks, and the Jets. Man, you have to feel pretty good about that. There's a lot of, odds and ends offenses there. So I think I would go Ravens 1, Houston 2, Atlanta 30.
Did you just say Atlanta 30?
3, sorry.
Okay. I was like, well, I could agree with that, right? Like that Atlanta.
Their rest of schedule is pretty favorable. I mean, Saints twice, Jets, Buccaneers, Panthers, Colts. That's a
Desmond
pretty favorable. Yeah, I get that, but you're looking for defenses.
True, but it's the same thing kind of holds true with the Falcons is what it will hold true with the Jets, right? Like, yes, they're in it, but there's only so long that you're going to keep that going if you're not playing for anything, right? Like same thing too, right? If the players don't have milestones, things like that, like we're going to go through and we're going to make sure that we're healthy, get into the off season. Yeah, you start making business decisions at that point.
Yeah, Houston's got the Jaguars, so I don't like Houston this week. You get the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans twice, the Browns, and the Colts. So I don't mind Houston there, and they're playing for pride at this point. Like
they've got an outside shot at the
playoff spot.
Yeah.
They're 6-4 right now, but they got a first-year head coach, a guy who hangs his hat on defense, and a quarterback that's playing unbelievable. We'll talk about him in a little bit.
Right.
But I don't mind Houston.
And right now, Houston's only a game back of the Jaguars for number 1 in that division. So there's a lot to be said there, and they could be certainly trying to play their way in.
And you can make that up this week.
Absolutely. Back it up, Binge Podcast saying, evening, gents. Hello. And then Houston also. All right, so we hit those ones there. Guys, again, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, let's throw them in the chat. Let's talk about those things, get those ready to rock and roll. Any other news notes we want to cover? Are we ready to get into some Pine and Shine recap?
I guess if we have to do the recap.
Yeah. Alex, I know is geared up, ready to go. So let's talk about the old Pine and Shine recap. And Alex, go ahead and lead the way.
What? I don't know what I did right. All right. So I selected for my Pine running back, Joe Mixon. He was projected 12.1 points. And sorry, I got to find my way down here. And he did not do that. He did much better than that. He was the 6th best running back and finished with 18.5 points. So that was a bummer. But I nailed my wide receiver. Adam Thielen had a tough week. And Dalton Kincaid did not live up to expectations.
Every one of my guys somehow exceeded their ranks on that one and exceeded their projections. So not a very good not a very good Pine week for me with some negative points coming my way in this section.
Yeah, I barely missed on Gibbs, right? He kind of landed right at it, a couple more points than what we expected. And then Lamb and Chiggy Okonkwo both finished a little softer, right? CeeDee Lamb, not quite the game that he had been having. Chiggy was dang near non-existent. So the Pines, I was feeling pretty good about myself.
So let's go ahead and get into this Shines and week 11 Shines.
Devin Singletary showed up, which was nice. Had a big week there. Romeo Doubs showed up, which was nice. He was probably projected way too low to begin with. That was kind of a low-hanging fruit, I felt. And then George Kittle, number 1. It's nice when you pick the number 1 overall tight end for the week. Right.
Definitely felt like I had some low-hanging fruit here with the running back there as well. Tyler Chandler definitely outshined his projections there. Noah Brown was a DNP. So, scratch on that one. Tyler Conklin did not have the best week. So made up some of my negative here on the shines.
You got your points. Oh, just kidding.
The difference between you getting a goose egg on Noah Brown and me taking a massive hit on Devon A-Chain was 2 snaps.
Yep. Yeah,
So
that one hurt.
A-Chain re-aggravated the knee injury and sent my week into a spiral plummet. Rashee Rice in a wet, slippery game in Kansas City there on Monday night did not get fed the second half the way I thought he was going to, which is a bummer. And Luke Musgrave did not succeed against the Chargers the way I thought he was going to either, right? So they had been giving it up a little bit to the tight end. So I took it on the chin for the shines here in week 11, and it, led Devon A-Chain, but the other two didn't help my cause.
And so that's where it moves us into on the season right now. Alex is only about 70 points behind at this point and has certainly kind of come on strong here these last few weeks with you having submitting your picks via the road type of thing.
But I'm still doing it. It's still me. I am not receiving any outside help. I can tell you that much.
I believe that.
All righty. So that's all right, Alex. We'll I've made it my mission to no longer let you get to the show doc.
First.
Yeah, because there's a few of those picks those last couple of weeks that I was like, that's where I'm gonna. Oh no, Alex has already got that one. So yep. So anyway, we'll have to rock and roll it that way, just a little bit different. As usually saying, cool thanks that he's got the Ravens, but he's a little hesitant on week 16 and 17 with the Niners and Miami.
There's a good chance the season's dang near decided by 17. Yeah, the Niners game for week 16, you might have to pivot that 1 week, but when you're talking pivoting defenses, that's the easiest position to pivot, I think, right, especially going down the stretch. So I think we can get you to week 16, but for now, I mean, you got 4 weeks, 12, 13, 14, and 15, ride them out here for the next month, and then we'll worry about it when the time comes.
Right. Well, because especially when you get into week 16 and 17, the teams that are either eliminated or playing in the consolation bracket most of the time, they're not paying attention to waivers and all of that. Like you're most of the time in most leagues, you're lucky if they even set a lineup there. So the pivots get easy to Kevin's point there. So all righty, guys. Well, are we ready to start talking some Turkey Day football?
Let's do it.
All righty.
Like the best day of the year.
Absolutely. So Thursday, the Turkey Day. We are getting 3 games to start it off, and it is starting off first with the Green Bay Packers heading to Detroit to face off against the Lions. Detroit favored by 7.5. The over/under on this one, 47. Thoughts on this game?
I'll take Detroit minus the points. I think they're rolling right now. I think they're playing very well. This game is in Detroit, so inside weather won't be an issue. And I will take the over 47. I think that we get ourselves a little bit of a shootout here. And then my player prop, I'll do Gibbs over 27.5 receiving yards.
Fair enough. I'm going to take Detroit also. I think this team's energized, right? They were getting better last year on Thanksgiving, but this year they are good, right? It's a nationally televised game, all the things. Yes, the Packers want to kind of ruin their parade a little bit, but I think ultimately they're not going to be able to stop this run game. So a lot of ground and pound for Detroit in this game. I'm taking the under because of that. A lot of running of the football. And so because of that, my prop is Amon-Ra St. Brown under 90.5 receiving yards.
I like it. I'm kind of right there with you. I think that this is going to be a kind of a lower scoring game when it's all said and done, right? The Packers without Aaron Jones and without Aaron Jones in the lineup, they've seemingly had kind of a hard time putting up points, moving the ball, all of those things. So I think that Green Bay is going to struggle a little bit to put up points on this one. Also, trending towards the under on this thing. I think that you're right. I think that that Detroit finds a way just to run this game. It's going to be a very fast-moving clock, but it's all said and done. And because of that, I like a guy to get into the end zone by the name of Monty. So I'm going to take Detroit to cover. I'm taking the under, and I'm taking David Montgomery anytime touchdown. All righty. Let's go ahead and head on over here to the next slate on Thursday. We've got the Washington Commanders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas favored by 11. The over-under on this one, 48.5. Thoughts on this one?
I'll take the Cowboys and the points. I just realized I'm contrarian to you guys on all of these over-unders. So I will take the under 48.5. I think Dallas gets up, is able to keep Washington's offense at bay. And I'm seeing like a 30-10 game here. So that's 40 points, which is the under for me. And because of that, I will take the player prop of Sam Howell under 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Fair enough. I'm taking Dallas in this one, and I'm taking the over. I think there's going to be some points here. Don't go dark screen. And because of that, we're going to see lots of fun fantasy relevance, right? Not so much of a pass rush from Washington these days. Cowboys are at home where they have just been absolutely dynamic, but these pesky Commanders do not go away. Sam Howell just keeps throwing it and throwing it. However, for my prop, I think Brian Robinson is going to see over 11.5 carries to help limit the disruption of the pass rush from the Cowboys.
Fair enough. I also think that this one here is the highest point total going into it that the Vegas has set here. So I'm going to lean into that one as well. And I think that there's a lot of points put up there, right? Like the Cowboys always kind of love to show up and show out here on this Thanksgiving Day game. And I think we see some of that. So I do like the points on this thing. I do think that Dallas ends up covering this thing, but it's not going to surprise when we look up and we see this thing somewhere in the neighborhood of like 35-18 type of deal. Like I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one. I think we're going to see Dallas, surprisingly, like they're going to get up and they just kind of do what they've been doing the last few weeks where they just kind of keep throwing the ball and throwing the ball and throwing the ball. So I think that actually limits Dallas's rush game here a little bit. And I'm going to take Tony Pollard to go under 65.5 rushing yards. All righty, let's head on over to the last game here on Thursday. We've got the Niners facing off against Seattle. San Francisco favored by 6.5. The over-under on this one, 43. Thoughts on this one?
I will take San Francisco and the points. I will take the over on this one. I think we see some fireworks offensively, and because of that, I'll take DK over 65.5 receiving yards.
I'm gonna say San Francisco covers this. I think they're over here. They've been playing hot. Not sure how this elbow for Geno is going to shake out for them. So I do think that's going to create a bit of a problem. So I think really we're looking at the under. I think the defense stifles Seattle. I don't think that San Francisco will have a problem taking the air out of the football once they're up by, 10 points or so and just kind of ride this thing out. But because of the pass rush and the elbow issue, I'm going to say Geno under 245 passing for this game.
Fair enough. And I could absolutely see the under coming to play on this one, right? Like this one being in Seattle. Yeah. There's a whole lot of things to this one that I do think that we're going to see a lower scoring affair. Not going to surprise me if we see this one end something like, 20-17, I think is a very realistic score in this one. And because of that, I do think that Seattle keeps it just close enough that we see them cover that one. Like I see San Francisco winning this, but I see Seattle keeping it inside of a touchdown on this one. So I think that we'll get close to, but just not quite that 6.5. As far as one of the props I really like, I'm jumping back on the CMC anytime touchdown train. Any other thoughts on this one?
Negative.
All righty. So we have a Black Friday game. So Friday football. Here we come. Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. Miami favored by 10. The over-under on this one, 40. Thoughts on this one?
I will take the Dolphins to demolish. In fact, I think you could probably push this line to 14, and I still wouldn't have any hesitation, which is crazy. I'm glad it's at 10. But I'll take Miami minus the 10. I think that they run roughshod over the Jets. And then because of that, I will take the over, and I think they get to the over by themselves. And I'll take Tua over 248.5 pass yards.
Very good. I'm taking Miami to cover this one also. The Jets did not look good last week against Buffalo. I think Miami, yes, I think they're dynamic enough, right? It's speed. And while the Jets corners do a good job, it is a ton of speed, whether it's Mostert, Achane, Hill, or Waddle. So I think Miami's able to handle this one fairly easily. I'm going to take the under because, well, Tim Boyle. But the prop I like is Brees Hall over 20.5 receiving yards, because I think we're going to see a lot of check down Charlie in this game, and Brees is going to benefit.
Fair enough. Yeah, Tim Boyle was the answer, or the reason to a lot of my answers to this test here, right? So I'm taking Miami to cover this thing. I can't trust the Jets to put up more than 3 to 6 points in this one. So I'm going to take Miami to cover this thing. I do like the under again because, well, yes, Miami's proven that they can explode and get there by themselves. They just haven't really done that lately here over the last few weeks. So I think that we see Miami put up some points in this one, but I think that they put up somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 points, and the Jets put up like 3. So I'm taking the under on this one. I'm also taking Tyreek Hill, right? Like, this was a prop that wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the matchup for Tyreek this week, but when you got a guy that's been putting up yardage like Tyreek has this season, and you see a prop as low as 70 yards, 70.5 yards, I'm going to take the over on that one. All righty. Any other thoughts on any of the games we want to hit up here?
No, I mean, I like the Thursday slate, right?
It's a decent Thursday slate, right?
Yeah, I like that they're all divisional games. Yeah, I like that they're all divisional, and a little bit of history. Generally, that leans towards the under. Short week, maybe some unders, but we got the over there in that Dallas game. At least Derek and I do. So, I think you will see fantasy relevance obviously come out of Thursday. So don't forget to adjust your lineup, right? Make sure you get it in, get it adjusted Wednesday night, Thursday morning as you're prepping turkeys or whatever you're doing. But don't forget, otherwise you're going to miss a lot of fantasy relevant players sitting on the sideline.
Yeah, especially that early game, right? Detroit, Green Bay, that kicks at like an earlier time than normal, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me double check that. But yeah, to Kevin's point, make sure that Wednesday night you're looking at stuff, because it is an earlier. It's a half hour. It's a half hour earlier than they normally kick. So
yeah, so you'll have lots of games going on there, and you've also got that Friday game going as well, and that's one of those that'll probably throw some people for a loop. So yeah, make sure you're checking your lineup, you get it set, you're fully ready to go here for week 12. Let's go ahead and hit up the chat here. Terry asking, pick an RB2 full point PPR. Charbonnet versus the Niners, Javonte versus the Browns, Ty Chandler or Madison against Chicago. I don't want any part of Charbonnet against the Niners.
And I don't want any part of Javonte against the Browns.
Javonte's the one, he's playing at home. It's not pretty, right? It has not been.
I guess of the options, that's the best one, Javonte against the Browns, but it's not. It does not give me the warm and fuzzies. And the problem with Ty or Madison versus Chicago is that you have to pick one of them, right? Combined, I think they do fine, but you only get to play one of them.
And the answer for me, if I've got to only play one of them, I'm going to take Ty.
Yeah.
Madison seems to be having an issue putting the ball on the ground, and
I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah. Okay. I'll go Javonte 1, tie against Chicago, then maybe Madison against Chicago before I go Charbonnet against the Niners.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Javonte and just kind of leave it at that. Because I'm the other three running backs don't really enter into my mind when I'm trying to make that decision.
The only thing about Charbonnet that I like is volume does speak.
Right.
So if Seattle's able to keep this close, right? And we've seen this game be pretty tightly contested in the past, right? Especially on national television. So if Seattle's going to keep this close, they need Zach Charbonnet to be a thing. So I'm going to go Javonte 1, but I'm going to go Charbonnet 2. And just cross my fingers that I'm playing this right.
Yeah, the only guy that I could see break top 24 scoring this week is Javonte. Charbonnet, Madison, Ty Chandler. I think every one of those guys is an RB3 this week. Charbonnet probably sneaks up there at the highest RB3 at like RB 27, 8 on the week, something like that. But still in that RB3 territory. I think Javonte could potentially put up a top 20 week.
Fingers crossed.
Right? All right, Terry saying pick 3 wide receivers, full PPR. Olave versus Atlanta, Chase versus Pittsburgh, Dell versus Jacksonville, Puka versus Arizona, Devontae Smith versus the Buffalo.
We got to pick 3.
Puka's a must start for me on this one. Right? Like obviously keeping an eye on the injury reports and all of that. But the matchup there, too juicy, and especially if Cooper Kupp misses with that low ankle sprain. Matchup's good, and he's the only show in town. And when Kupp's not there, Puka sees 10 plus targets typically.
I think Devonta Smith is probably my next. I'm with you on Puka. I think Devonta Smith is probably the guy that I would pick here. And that's really just because, man, you don't know who's playing quarterback in New Orleans, right? Or for New Orleans. And what is Jamar Chase without Joe Burrow? So, like, you know, by those two, I go Devonta Smith as my pick.
I'm going Chase, Dell, and Puka.
You like Chase?
Who are you going to feed? Who are you going to feed? Talent does win out. Like, if you're coming in and if you're trying to keep this ship afloat, what do you have to do? You have to balance the game in through Joe Mixon, and you have to feed your pass catcher. You have to feed him. Like, it is the only chance. Yeah, I mean, T. Higgins may or may not play, and that's a thing. But that's the only way you stay relevant. You're not good enough to win without Jamar Chase being borderline elite every single week now. Like, before, you could have him be good to great, and you were just fine. Jamar Chase has to be elite, but I think he understands that. Like, I think he's going into this game knowing. And don't forget, this is the same Pittsburgh team that, yes, the defense is playing better, but they got absolutely torched by Devontae Adams earlier this season. And I think we all agree Jamar Chase can run the same routes as Devontae Adams can. They're both very good receivers. So Browning, no, does not give me all the warm and fuzzies. So Chase might be the number 3 in this group because Puka has such a great matchup and Tank Dell's on a heater. But I can't guarantee that Devonta Smith's going to put up 6 catches for 99 yards and be, a yard and a half away from the end zone every single week, right? AJ Brown is still a massive factor,
right,
for Philadelphia. Chase is the factor for Cincinnati, even with a backup quarterback.
Right. Well, and with Devonta Smith there as well, right? Like, AJ Brown had one reception for like 8 yards. Like, he will get his this week. Like, that'll that pendulum will shift the other way. So I'm right there with you, Kevin. I think it's Puka, Dell, Chase. Yeah, Puka top 10 upside on this one. I think this week. You got to ride the heater, and then you got to go with the talent. Olave could enter the mix if I knew that David Carr or Derek Carr was not throwing the ball to him and we had Jameis. Right? Like if I needed a points and upshot type of thing, Olave could enter into that mix just because I get Jameis throwing the deep ball to him and Olave could come down with 2 or 3 of those. So but if Derek Carr's throwing the ball, we very well could see another deal where Olave sees 2 targets and gets 1 reception for 12 yards. Like, no thanks. Better defensive stream, the Giants, the Patriots, the Titans, or the Falcons?
Giants, Patriots, Titans, Falcons.
Ooh. I think I like the Titans the best, hosting Carolina on Sunday. Yeah, I like the Titans the best. The Giants are playing the Patriots, so like
taking the Giants.
Yeah,
that Patriots offense is anemic.
It's really bad.
It is. And the Giants pass rush is still good, right? They've been gashed a little bit running outside, but that's not the Patriots game. They run up the middle with Stevenson and Zeke both. They don't really run outside, and there is zero threat of a consistent passing game. And it doesn't matter whether it's Mac Jones or
Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi. So I'm going to take the Giants this game and ride it out.
Yeah, as gross as that is to say, I think I'm right there with you. Yeah. All right, Jeezy saying pick a wide receiver, 2 running backs, and a flex in PPR. Puka, DJ, Addison, Gibbs, Monty, Swift, White, Warren. The opponent playing Dobbs, if that means anything. I'm still going with Puka for my wide receiver.
I'm going Puka too. That matchup's just too good to get off of.
Yep.
So Puka's your wide receiver. Running backs, I'm going. I think I'm going to go Swift, White, and Monty, but I would not be opposed to Swift, White, and Gibbs.
Yeah. It's either Monty or Gibbs in there. So you take your pick as to which one you want. I don't mind either one of them, but you're not going to play both of them. So one of those 2 is the RB, and then I kind of like Swift then White.
Yeah, I'll co-sign on that. Pick your poison on Gibbs or Monty. I think Gibbs probably gets a little bit more passing work than Monty, but I think Monty gets more carries, right? I'll stay on Puka, and Swift and White, I think, are really solid choices.
There you go. Gator J saying, good evening, fellas. Welcome back in, Gator J. And is Kansas City defense, is the KC defense the defense to pick up now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
They've been playing really well. Really well. Like, they're getting after the quarterback. They're getting good play out of the secondary. I don't have any problem picking up Kansas City.
And their rest of schedule is really favorable. You've got the Raiders, who have been, okay. The Packers on a Sunday night. You get the Bills that have been turnover prone. At New England on a Monday night. The Raiders again. The Bengals without Joe Burrow. And the Chargers that can't figure out how to play offense. So, yeah.
That Chargers game for fantasy won't matter much on the week 18.
Right, last week.
But that playoff schedule, like there's not many better defense special teams that have a better matchup for 3 consecutive weeks of your fantasy playoffs there, right? You get to see the Patriots, who knows will be the quarterback there. Then you get the Raiders, who, again, right, like, do they bring Jimmy G back in? Do we stick with the Aiden O'Connell experience? Do they roll somewhere else even? And then the Bengals without Burrow. So you've got 3, like, that's going to be a must start defense type of deal there. You're not going to get a better matchup in the playoffs there. So especially for the entirety of the playoffs. So yeah, pick them up now. And if you can, like, even the rest of the season schedule is good. Playoff schedule even better. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on into a new thing we're doing, right? It is that time of year to talk about things that we're grateful for, things that we're thankful for. And you know that we've got to hit it up here with a fantasy twist on it. So it's players that we're thankful for this holiday season here. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll start with my first one. And I don't have him in the home league, but I do have him in a league that I'm in with my high school buddies. And he has been carrying my team for a good majority of the season. So the player that I'm most thankful for is Tyreek Hill. He has been, I think you could make a case. It's unfortunate because the league MVP is now basically a quarterback award, right? It is exclusive to quarterbacks. But I think if there was to be a non-quarterback to win it this year, Tyreek Hill has got to be right at the top of that list of non-quarterbacks that should be in consideration for MVP. He's been dynamic. He has been scoring points. And in fantasy this year, he has been – I got him in an auction draft. He was worth every penny that I spent on him.
No, absolutely. So I went with a pair of running backs through up and downs with injuries, through inconsistent play, through everybody saying draft wide receiver early. Rachaad White and Brian Robinson were guys that you were able to pick up in kind of that mid to later round range. And both of them are now top 12 running backs. Brian Robinson coming in, I think, at running back number 4 or 5, and Rachaad White, I think 9. These guys have saved teams, right? Whether you dealt with the Eckler injury, the Saquon injury, Nick Chubb going down, the deficiencies with Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson. Obviously, if you had to survive and now you have Breece Hall back, these guys, you could add Raheem Mostert to that list, honestly. But these guys who you're able to pick up late helped carry through your running back room while your top end picks were injured and dinged up. So I am super thankful for them because they have helped me in a number of different leagues to remain relevant at the running back position, where I did not have to go overpay for a borderline RB2 just to get points on the board.
Fair enough. So player that I'm grateful for is a guy that, most players didn't even start the season with him on the roster, and that is Puka Nacua. He's a guy that came in, you picked him up off the waiver wires in either week 1, week 2, and has put up a top 10 wide receiver your season so far for you, and really just kind of been showing up, showing out, and looks to be able to have a very strong finish going forward as well.
All right, the next guy that I am thankful for is CeeDee Lamb. He's been a nice little bright spot on an otherwise dismal year that I've had in the home league. Still trying to figure out if I should leverage him. I know we're getting close to trade deadline, so that may or may not happen. But as far as players that have been relatively consistent and for where I got him to deliver the way that he has, it's been really nice. I think Dak Prescott owners have been very grateful for CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb owners have been very grateful for CeeDee Lamb.
Absolutely. For this one, I went with a pair of quarterbacks, much for the same reason. I'm thankful for Sam Howell and Brock Purdy, right? Joe Burrow going down, Daniel Jones going down, Deshaun Watson going down, Kirk Cousins going down, inconsistencies in Atlanta and in New England, Anthony Richardson going down, Aaron Rodgers going down, all these things, and these late round
Garoppolo
quarterbacks.
and
Yeah, and these late round quarterbacks have quite literally saved your potential season, right? Sam Howell, top 5 quarterback. Brock Purdy, top 10 quarterback. These are guys who you're able to either draft late or pick up off the waiver wire and the scrap heap, and are for the most part weekly starters for you. And I am thankful for them and to them for their performances, for their grittiness, and for their ability to, help in a position that if you didn't go, you know, Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, Mahomes is kind of fallen flat, right? Sam Howell is actually a better fantasy quarterback right now than Patrick Mahomes is. So I am super thankful to them for the strategy of wait on quarterback, and you can still make it loading up at skill positions. These guys prove me right.
I've got another quarterback to add to that mix there, and that's Kyler Murray, right? Like, certainly has come off of IR here, put up kind of back-to-back QB1 weeks for you. So a guy that you would have either drafted and stashed or picked up late off the waiver wire, and can certainly give you a much needed boost at the position if needed, headed down the stretch here.
Yeah, my last guy is also a quarterback, and that has been CJ Stroud, who is putting together a really spectacular rookie season. A guy that you did not have to draft early because there were so many unknowns with him. And this rookie quarterback class, there were so many other options that you knew so that you didn't have to spend a ton of draft capital on. I can tell you right now, in the home league, CJ Stroud has punched his way into a keeper position for me because he's been that good, and where I picked him up is worth that draft penalty. I think I got him in the mid rounds, like 6 or 7, something like that. So I am more than happy to hang on to that player and absorb that draft pick because there's no reason, he's given me no reason to believe he's not going to be, in that upper echelon of quarterback next year.
Makes sense. I like it. Again, I am going to go with mid to late round receivers for very much the same reason, right? If you bombed on your second round pick, right, because of T. Higgins, because of Devonta Smith outside of 2 weeks has been frustrating, right? And some of these other options, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley, some of these guys really took a hit for you. Deebo Samuel. But if you waited, you were able to pick up Brandon Ayuk and then pick up Cortland Sutton even further down the list. And Cortland Sutton is been kind of tried and true, right? 11.3 fantasy points in half point PPR is what he's been averaging. Ayuk, even better than that, 14.6 fantasy points in what he's been averaging per game. So these guys have been able to step in through whether it's bye weeks, whether it's injuries, whether just roster construction, and been key components to fantasy success this year. So thank you guys for showing up and doing your jobs.
I like it. Another guy that's just kind of a grind it out, get things done type of player. David Montgomery, a guy that in most leagues you're able to pick him up as your 4th or even 5th running back in most cases. A guy that outside of his getting injured the week and being out of those few games there has given you RB2 performances week in, week out at worst, with a lot more RB1 finishes on the week. So a guy that you were able to pick up late, and if you had the displeasure of drafting Bijan early, or drafting Tony Pollard early, or you're drafting some of these guys early, you've been able to pivot to the David Montgomery and been okay on this one here, and a guy that, again, I think will be very serviceable down the stretch and do great things for managers that have him rostered for you. So, any other thoughts on this segment before we move on?
No, I think that, lots to be thankful for, right? Lots. So, we could have extended it earlier, right? Sam Laporta, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can all be thankful for Sam Laporta. He's been fun to watch. He's a top 5 tight end. You were able to get him a bit later because he's a rookie and the unknown. There are tons to be thankful for. There are obviously, it's kind of easy to talk about the busts the players were frustrated with, and things that didn't go our way this season. But I think we can absolutely be thankful for this list of players and more when you're able to just be diligent and hammer the waiver wire, trade for the right players, and do the things that you need to do. You can overcome a lot.
I love it.
I'd also add to that a Devon Aching, a guy that we were all, if you had him, you were very thankful for him for the first 4 or 5 weeks that he was very, very serviceable. But that's another guy, I think, in our home league. I drafted him and then didn't have a spot for him and had to move off of him because he wasn't doing anything the first couple of weeks. And now the guy who's got him, we're going to keep it as a waiver wire pickup and a last round draft penalty. And that's pretty dang special.
Absolutely. And we've got a couple of folks chiming in here as well. Ajiji saying that they're thankful for Puka and for the league mates not wavering Puka after week 1 and allowing him to poach him right after the waiver cleared. Love it. Joe saying that Rashad is saving me from having drafted Ramondre so high. And Terry saying that he's thankful. I don't know, I'm thinking he's saying Puka there, but it just says
probably Puka.
That would be my guess as well. So
Pook, right?
Pook. Pook or Puck. We're not sure which, but we're thankful for him too. All right, let's go ahead and hit up this one. Terry asked you to rate the trade 9-2. Trade away Jamar Chase and Dallas Goedert for Justin Jefferson.
As long as Jefferson feels healthy, right, and he's able to come back, I think that works, right? I think we all believe in Josh Dobbs a little bit more than what we're thinking we're going to get out of Browning. So Goddard is a name, right? He just doesn't fall in the end zone. There's better options at tight end. So I don't mind this trade whatsoever. I'm going to go off on a quick tangent because we brought up Justin Jefferson the first time this show. If you or anybody is blowing up Justin Jefferson's DMs about trying to push him to come back and play, tell them to shut up and sit the hell down.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
If nothing else, I saw that. I wanted to go hit up Jefferson's DMs and go, you listen here, GOAT. Like, you go ahead and just get healthy. Like, don't you worry about my fantasy team. You worry about you. You get healthy. You are fun enough to watch on your own that I can appreciate this. Like, get over it, people. Like, guess what? The guy's hurt. If you guys have ever torn your hamstring, then I think you'd understand. But most of the people blowing up his DMs, the biggest workout they get is getting off the couch in their mom's basement to walk upstairs and heat up last night's meatloaf. Get off his jock. Let him get healthy. Let him come back and be the best version of himself, not 80% where he could re-injure it and then screw it up for your fantasy team in the playoffs. Let him get healthy, come back, and it's just like a shot of adrenaline into your roster after he gets healthy. So kick back and relax. If you didn't want to sit on him and wait that long, you should have traded his ass away 6 weeks ago.
Well said. Well said.
People are dumb, man.
So dumb.
This is the part of the fantasy community that drives me insane. Like, you don't leave the players alone.
Yeah.
You don't call out the players. I don't care if they take a knee at the 2-yard line instead of running in the touchdown. Boo-hoo, it happens. I don't care if they fumble the football. it happens. You get smacked by some of these 260-pound linebackers flying at you at 17 miles an hour, and you tell me that you're not going to limp away from that thing wishing you were dead. Like, get off of it. This is a game. Enjoy it. Let the players play. You manage your roster, and we can coexist while being separate.
Yeah. Well said.
I like it.
Absolutely well said.
Terry, as far as your question goes, I like the trade.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Goddard's coming off of a fractured forearm. Chase, I mean, Chase is playing, but Jefferson, not yet. Long term, this could benefit you, but I don't mind it.
Like, if you're making it for a playoff move, if you're 9-2, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think Josh Dobbs better thrower of the football than Browning, so I like the move. Terry also asked him best tight end to play this week: Isaiah Likely, Taysom Hill, David Njoku. I'm probably going to go with the Njoku route.
If you want a ceiling, you're going Hill. If you want a floor, you're going Njoku. And if you just want to roll the dice to see what you have, then you're going Likely. The Broncos aren't very good against tight end coverage, right? Like, so Njoku does have the highest floor. But, coming off a bye week, I kind of expect the Saints to do some different things with Hill, especially if Derek Carr's still dinged up and he's not able to play, right? Anytime Hill touches the ball, it's one less opportunity for Jameis Winston to turn it over. Excuse me. So for me, I think I'm playing Hill just because I like it when I can plug Hill in when he's projected at like 6.5 points and he blows up for 17. Like, I like that feeling. But if you're just kind of mainstreaming and what the matchup plays at, I think David Njoku is probably the right play. I would lean Hill. I'm not interested in Likely. Like, this is one of those situations where we're getting too close to the playoffs, and I want to see it before I'm buying in.
Well, we've seen it already this season with Isaiah Likely not having any fantasy relevance in a game that Mark Andrews was out on, and the Ravens knew that he was going to be out on. Right? I think he had like one reception for 4 yards, something like that. Like,
on 5 targets.
Yeah, like, no, thank you. So yeah, Isaiah Likely is an out for me. Njoku, part of the reason I'm going to go Njoku is just the fact that he's been getting so much volume the last couple of weeks, right? 9 targets, 15 targets. I think we see some of that continue to the point where it won't surprise me if we see him get close to double-digit targets this one. So I like the Njoku play, but Kevin brings up some really good points on the Taysom Hill that Njoku ceilings is certainly capped, right? Like, I don't anticipate a very high-scoring affair between the Browns and the Broncos here. Taysom Hill has proven that he can find the end zone even in low-scoring games. So I think Kevin's right. I think that he probably gives you a better floor or better ceiling, but Njoku probably gives you a better floor. And if you're 9-2, Terry, you're probably looking more at a floor play than a ceiling play would be my guess there on that one, as far as what you would need for your matchup. Any other thoughts on this one?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
All righty. A couple more questions coming in here. Kyle over on the YouTube. Ford, Madison, Mitchell, Gainwell, Boyd, Cooks, Gabe Davis, Fergie, McBride. Please set the lineup: 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Full PPR, no tight end flex. Thanks, guys. I think you got to roll Ford and Madison for your running backs. I'm going to roll McBride as my tight end. And I don't really love any of the wide receivers, but if I'm going to take a guy, I'm going to take a guy that...
Picking Cooks against Washington.
Yeah, for sure, Cooks. Yeah, that's all you need. The 1 wide receiver.
Well, then you need a flex. And the flex, I would go with Gabe Davis at that point. As much as I don't want to do it, I would do it just from the standpoint that if he... Right, who do you think blows up more so? Davis, Boyd, Mitchell, or Gainwell? CMC doesn't get hurt, Mitchell doesn't see the field. Gainwell.
Is it Keaton Mitchell though?
Oh, that could be. I was thinking Elijah Mitchell.
If it's Keaton Mitchell, he has got some pop, right? Like
he's a one-touch guy.
Yeah, he's a one-touch guy. You figure with Andrews being out, they might find more ways to get the ball into his hands to just create some dynamic offense. Yeah,
at that point, if it's Keaton Mitchell, I'd go Mitchell as the flex.
Yeah, I do believe it's between the two, right? With no tight end flex, that's fine. McBride, I think, is the way to go there. Especially with going Cooks, right? Like, yes, I expect the Dallas offense to eat, but McBride, he's been a fun story. I mean, I'm carrying him in my home league, and I'm not even really looking at anybody else. So it is Mitchell. So I think it is Mitchell. I think that's your flex right there.
Yep.
I don't hate the idea of it being Gabe Davis, but Gabe Davis seems to be 0 or 16, right? Like that's kind of what he does. Mitchell's at least starting to get some touches. So you got like a 4 or 5 point floor with Keaton Mitchell that you don't have with Gabe Davis.
Right. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement there. That's Ford, Mitchell, Cooks, McBride, and Ford, Madison, Cooks, McBride, and Mitchell to fill out your roster there. Kyle saying that drafted Chubb, D. Smith, Dobbins, Lamar, went early on Smith trying to stack him and Hurts, but Hurts got picked up early in round 4, so I had to pull the trigger on Lamar to stack with Dobbins. So, yeah, I get you. George Play over on the YouTube asking for the flex, Warren or Charbonnet non-PPR. You'd go with Warren over Charbonnet in a standard league?
Yeah.
Okay.
Charbonnet ain't scoring.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, we've seen it. I don't think that I think they will continue to kind of split carries. Najee's been having the edge, but Warren's been electric. Like, yes, it's catches, but they're still yards. And he has been absolutely electric. And we'll see how the play calling might differ, right? With Matt Canada gone, but Warren's been good enough to not ignore. He's not going away. And yes, this is Charbonnet's crack at, being the guy, but I think that the Steelers might be a little bit more excited that they don't have Matt Canada than Charbonnet is to get his crack against the Niners.
It's a fair point. You may have just talked me into it right there. So I'll change my vote over to Warren. Alex, any differing opinions there?
No. And I think Charbonnet's the play if they weren't playing San Francisco this week. But yeah, I'll stay on Warren.
Okay. Terry, going back to that Jefferson trade, the current wide receiver is Keenan Allen, wide receiver 2 is Puka, and the flex is Pollard. So hopefully they can hold it until Jefferson can return. Yeah, I think it'd be
okay.
I'd feel pretty good about that, rolling that in, week week out.
How fortunate were you to have Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, and Puka all on one roster there? Well done.
Yeah, on the fact that he's also able to roll Pollard as a flex instead of an RB, RB
right.
1 or 2, where you probably would have had to have drafted him. So good on you, Terry.
Yeah.
Jelly of the month over on YouTube. Lost Burrow and Hal matchup versus Dallas is tough. Like Minshew, Baker, or Love this week over Sam. I don't like Love over like anybody this week.
That's sorry, it's just a funny, yeah.
I mean, Detroit is, Detroit. No, I don't want any part of that. Having to go up there on that one.
Yeah, short week. The only thing that's nice about it is it's indoors, right? But that's the only thing that's nice about it. That's a tough Detroit team that you're about to play. Minshew or Baker, huh? Same game in Indianapolis. Give me Baker inside.
Give me Sam Howell. I think all of these guys are going to be really
It's gonna be
close
tough.
and kind
It's
of
gonna be tough.
I think this week they're all kind of mid RB or mid QB2 type of range. But give me Sam Howell. We know that, or we don't know, but we could have certainly imagined that the Commanders are going to have to throw the ball and continue to throw the ball to try and stay in that game. And if anybody can keep it close with their arm, I think Sam Howell has the best job of or best ability to try and get that done this week, even against a tough matchup.
I'm planting my flag with Baker. I think that game gets weird in Indianapolis.
I'm taking the other side of that matchup. I'm taking Minshew Mania. So here you are completely split on this one. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't want to stare a crappy score from Sam Howell down for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. And the likelihood of him having a crappy score is 50-50 at best, right? Like, there's probably a higher percentage that he just doesn't get it done against the Cowboys in the way that they play at home. So I am very intrigued in this Tampa Bay Indianapolis game. I think it very well could be the highest scoring game of the week because neither team likes to play a whole hell of a lot of defense these days. So I'm taking Minshew because Tampa Bay has a worse pass defense than Indianapolis does, in a way to get it done between Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, and you might even see Jonathan Taylor go roughshod.
I like that you agree that game's going to get weird in Indianapolis.
I think that game will touch 50.
Although, Alex, the problem is that you're talking about
it gets weird.
Fair enough, but Alex, you're talking about the Baker planting the flag. The problem is that game's in Indianapolis, not Ohio.
Right, I get that.
So over the last 4 weeks, Tampa Bay has given up 25.89 points to the quarterback position in half-point PPR. That is tops in the NFL. The Colts have been surprisingly good. They've only given up 11.21 points to opposing quarterbacks.
Well, Kevin has used numbers and statistics. That's enough to sway me. So I'll jump over to Minshew Mania.
Yeah. Dallas has given up 14.43, so slightly better than the Colts as far as fantasy relevance goes, but none of them hold a candle to Tampa Bay. I'm taking Minshew Mania.
All right, I'll jump on the bandwagon there as well. So, Kevin, you've swayed us all over to you, and there's the consensus now. Minshew would be the consensus between us all.
That game's gonna be fun though. Like if you can get that game and you're out of market, that feels like a fun one to watch. Just gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, I hope that's the morning CBS game.
Let's see.
I don't think it is here. They don't play a morning CBS game when the Broncos have an afternoon game.
It's a Fox. It's nope, just kidding. It is a CBS. It is a morning CBS. It could be.
It ain't gonna be.
Well, while Alex is looking that up, we'll move on to the next question here. Jelly of the Month over on the YouTube's asking waivers half-point PPR can only roster 5 running backs. Currently has Saquon, Ty Chandler, Keaton Mitchell, all have week 13 bye. Other 2 are Monty and Achane. Drop Keaton or Ty Chandler and grab Jeff Wilson.
No, you keep Ty Chandler and Keaton, and then you just run with Monty and Achane in week 13.
Yeah.
Kevin, I have some good news for you.
Shut up! It's the morning game here in Denver.
There's a possibility. I haven't seen the map yet, but the Broncos are on Fox. So
the Broncos-Browns game is on Fox.
Yeah. Paul,
French toast. Oh, because the Cowboys are playing Thursday. Because we always get the Cowboys games on local. So
let me see if I can find it here for you.
Interessante.
All right. Well, while you're looking, we'll keep going through some questions.
I was still looking.
So Joe over on the YouTube saying, do I dare bench Jamar Chase and start Jalen Warren at flex? Half point PPR plus 10-point bonus for 100 yards rushing or receiving.
I mean, dare? Yes. Would I? No. No. Warren's cracked 100 yards once. It was last week. Right? I mean, it's not like this has been a consistent thing. I'm taking the force fed, taking the receptions from Jamar. Likelihood of Jamar getting behind Pittsburgh for a 50-yard touchdown is a hell of a lot better than Jalen Warren getting behind him.
Yeah.
Personally, with all due respect.
I think I agree.
Yeah, you do.
Well, my mind's made up with that one. Yep, I do agree. I've been told that I agree. So we'll roll that way. Alex, did you find your find the answer to your question? All righty.
Not yet. Still, I found a place, but it didn't have what I was looking for. So I'm still poking around.
Okay. All righty, guys. So if you have any final questions, anything like that, get those in the chat. We'll hit them up. We're going to start wrapping it up here and calling it a night here. So let's make sure we get you all the questions that you need answered. Flex, Kyron, Connor, or Terry, full PPR.
It's Kyron or Connor for me. Terry McLaurin has not gone over 85 yards yet this season. And I doubt the Dallas Cowboys are going to be the first team to allow that to him. So I'm going Kyron or Connor. Cup's dinged up. Get their guy back. Chance for them to be a little bit more balanced on offense than what they have been. I don't hate the Kyron Williams call.
Especially the matchup, too. Like, that's such a plus matchup. I think I'm right there with you. Like, I wanted to try and find a reason to go with James Conner on this one, just because I'm not the biggest fan of playing a guy, fresh off of IR, especially missing that much time, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, that matchup's too juicy. I'm right there with you, Kevin. Kyron for me. Terry saying, I think Browning targeted Irwin too much for my liking because he's used to throwing him the ball because they're both second string. There's certainly something to that. However, there's also something to, right? Like, they're going to be going through in the practice and the game script and everything else that Irwin's not going to see that kind of run. I really just don't see it.
I found my answer.
Okay.
And Kevin, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. So it's
the early game there in Denver will be Pittsburgh at Cincinnati on CBS.
Yay, red zone.
Swear, if I didn't have season tickets, I would have invested in the Sunday ticket and just done away with it. I hate how they do the regional coverage here.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Chiefs at Raiders is the afternoon game. You'll be a touch busy.
Yeah, I think so.
Jelly the Month saying that he lost Mandrews and backup Freiermuth. Grab likely by next week or stash Goddard for fantasy playoffs PPR.
Freiermuth
should be back this week.
Goddard will be coming off of IR, I think, week 13.
They didn't put him on.
He hasn't gone on.
Oh, he didn't?
No, they just declared him out. We were waiting on that last Friday and weren't quite sure how that was going to shake out. So Goddard never went on IR, but I don't expect him to come back.
Oh, I saw 4 weeks is what I saw. He got injured week 9. So
yeah, which would make sense, right? Yeah, so he's got another
13,
couple.
14.
I mean, I think you just ride with.
But here's the deal. Like, I get that Goddard is a name, but he wasn't all that productive before he got hurt, right? Like, am I missing something?
No.
He wasn't all that productive.
I think you grab likely. Honestly, as crazy as that sounds, I think I think with the way that this offense runs, likely is going to be seeing probably similar volume to Dallas Goedert, right? 4-5 targets a game. And I think the way the offenses are built, it's a little bit more evenly distributed in Baltimore. So your chance of a touchdown might actually go up with likely, as opposed to Goddard, who they get inside the 5-yard line, they're running it in. And if they get inside the 2, it is tush push central.
All righty. Joe saying Kincaid or Taysom Hill this week, thinking that if he needs to chase points after Thursday, Friday games, should go Hill.
Philly's been pretty poor against tight ends. Like, I think you're safe with Kincaid. Like, I don't know that game's going to be a shootout, but I do think that Buffalo is, again, they're energized. They have a new offensive coordinator. I think they're going to be getting back into some things that they do well. We saw the run game actually show up, which was a good thing for James Cook owners if you were still starting him. But I think it's Dalton Kincaid over Taysom Hill. I don't know if you need to get too cute about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't get cute with that one at all. Matchup's very favorable. The Eagles give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Falcons are not as favorable on that one. So Dalton Kincaid, not going to surprise me if we see him be a top 3 tight end this week. Jelly of the Month saying thanks and happy Thanksgiving. Chandler over on the YouTube saying, I was thinking Terry going to be down all game and could get some trash points. Kyron off injury, not sure how he's going to be. Even with Connor being a bell cow, he hasn't done nothing the last 2 weeks.
Kyron's injury was not that serious to begin with. Like, the Rams did play it pretty safe with him. Looking at reports, he was probably ready after 3 weeks, and he just got the extra for health. So I think you are safe with Kyron. I don't think there's going to be trash points, right? These teams hate each other, right? The divisional game on Thursday, the Cowboys want to assert their dominance at home. I don't think there's going to be trash points for Terry. If anything, they're going to pull him off the field so the guy doesn't get hurt.
I would concur with that. And two, right, like a lot of times when you're talking about like an ankle sprain running back position, right, typically speaking, what you see a lot of times going out there is guys, miss about 3 games on that one. It takes them a game or 2 to kind of get themselves worked back up. All of that. Yeah, we saw that. He's been out about 5 weeks now. So I think you're right, Kevin. I think he's kind of a full go right away here. So, and especially with that Arizona matchup, like I that's a matchup you want to target and go after. So I would go after that one there. And you're right, Connor's been bell cow, but with Kyler back too, we've seen this year in, year out. There's a good chance that if they get inside the 5, Kyler's just going to take off and run it in. Where, without Kyler there's a chance that Connor finds the end zone. So, yeah, Kyron's the guy for me as well. Chandler saying thank y'all. All righty. Well, guys, I don't see any other questions coming in here. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. If you're going to fry your turkey, make sure that bad boy is thawed and dry. Don't end up on, apparently it's a big trend on TikTok right now to see all these people with turkey frying fails. So don't end up on TikTok.
People are dumb.
Yeah, they are.
Nothing else. That's been the theme of the night there for Kevin.
People are dumb. Yeah.
No, I agree. Enjoy the day, right? Enjoy the time with the family. All the, food, football, and festivities, right? Be thankful. Enjoy the family that you get to hang out with, whether it's, biological or, or not. It doesn't matter. Friends, kids, stepkids, it doesn't matter. Enjoy the time with them.
Absolutely. Chandler also saying happy Thanksgiving. And Joe, talking to your turkey fail there. It looks like saying displacement learned the
Yeah.
hard way.
Yeah. That's a lesson you learn once.
And only once. So,
Mhm.
all righty. Well, that is going to do it for us tonight. Again, happy holidays, and we're thankful for y'all tuning in here every week in, week out, chatting with us. We very much enjoy the banter and the back and forth and all of those good things. So very, very appreciative to everybody that tunes in and listens to this. So thank you very much for that. And that's going to do it for us. We'll be back again Friday night to go over the remaining slate of games here. We'll rock and roll that. He's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.